Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mic Drop with Julia. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome Scott Richardson, who is the Chief Data and Analytics Officer in First Citizens Bank. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Good to see you again after all these years.
Yes, so there is a story behind it, right? We knew when we worked together, but I thought you and I worked together at FINRA. And I could picture in my head an office where you were sitting in FINRA. And I think you thought, right, that you and I met in Capital One.
Together at Capital One, and I have a distinct memory of visiting you in your office at Capital One. But you never worked there, and I never worked at FINRA.
Yeah, so it took us a while to figure out where we actually intersected, and what helped that Scott remembered visiting me in my office while I was pregnant. And I only have one child, so I was pregnant only once, and that was Freddie Mac, and that helped.
That's right.
So both of us were in Freddie Mac. So Scott, I'm very happy to have you here and joining me on the show. So the first question I have for you, what do you wish you knew back then, maybe when you and I worked together, that you know really well now?
Yeah, great question. You know, I've been a Chief Data and Analytics Officer 3 times over now. And each time you learn a lot and you try to get a little bit better. And if I were to think of something back in the day when I started this journey, I think I focused too much on technical expertise and being the one to know all the answers and that sort of thing. And that it was the technology that was going to make a difference for the organization. And after having been in the arena a few times here, I've really come to appreciate that, yes, that's important and all that, but I don't think it's the most important thing. For sure, data and analytics and AI, it's a people business. And so really understanding business strategy, the culture of the organization, and drawing upon your knowledge of data and analytics and AI, what is the right move or set of moves to make for an organization to help them through a change journey? And that's inherently kind of a people thing, is people have to learn new things, experiment, and go from being an expert in something old to being a novice at something new. And if you can really appreciate that journey and help them along the way, then I think everybody's more successful.
Yeah, I've been saying that quite a bit. It's actually one of the first newsletters I wrote was that CDAO, Chief Data Officer, Chief Data and Analytics Officer, is a change management job first.
Absolutely.
There is so many things we can do from data strategy perspective. The question is, what are the right things to do for this company at this time to achieve those goals? And it's not the same.
That's right. And there's no correct answer. What might work well for one organization isn't exactly what's needed in the next, given where they are in the journey and where they're heading as a business. So really listening to people, talk about their appetite for change, their needs as business leaders, and then finding a story to thread between all of those. I think that's where the good stuff happens.
Yeah, and that's where majority of the job is figuring out that connective tissue between goals and where the company is and what the technology is, and just weaving it into the story that makes sense to the business and you can execute on.
So true.
Yeah. So, second question. Imagine you're standing in front of the room of data management professionals. What would be your advice to them?
Yeah, buckle up. No, I think the advice is that you're signing on for constant change and constantly learning. And that's also what makes it interesting in an exciting career path, is that it's a very dynamic area of our industry. But know that just when you feel that you're an expert and really good at something, that's the time to maybe appreciate that it's time to learn something new and put yourself out there. I think if you can constantly be learning something new and investing time and effort in that, and there's a bit of humility with that as well, like always being kind of new at something, then I think you'll have a long career. I think it's those individuals that achieve a level of mastery and then just kind of stay at that point. I think your career maybe has some rough patches when you take that approach. But if you're always in that learner mode, I think that's good for you, it's good for the organization, and you can lift up everyone else around you as well.
Yeah, the way I put it, get comfortable with discomfort.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, always when you're doing new things, it's uncomfortable by definition, right? But that's, I think, where we grow, when we try new things, learn new things, and get ourselves in a position where we don't know everything. And it's kind of vulnerable to do that. If I
And I
feel
think
like,
to look out for that. When you've done this for a while, as you and I both have, you form fairly solid opinions on how things should be done and what would be best. But when I'm operating at my best, I really try to listen for when the opinions or the situation we're in doesn't match with my opinion. Like those are signals that there might be something to learn here, that maybe we're missing something, there might be a blind spot. And so I think always looking out for those moments of like, hey, is there something new to be learned here? Or maybe the situation is different than I thought it was. And again, keeping yourself open to that, combined with this accumulation of expertise, I think that's a good place to be.
yeah. I very often ask, this is how I'm seeing it. Let me break it up in pieces. When I hear, this is not what I think it would be. So let me just break it up and understand which piece is actually different. And am I misunderstanding? Am I not communicating well? Do you have different goals in mind? I'm operating that way.
About the environment, all
yes,
that.
Exactly. Trying to get back to the foundation, to the common foundation. That's a great advice. Thank you, Scott. Thank you for coming.
It's great to see you again, and thanks so much for having me on the show. By the way, I'll just say I've really enjoyed watching all your podcasts and reading your articles. You're one of the truly wise people in the field of data, and glad to be a part of this. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.